Hey everybody, what's going on? Dace here, and today I am talking with my French pal from France, of course, Vinu Shmup. How are you doing today, man?
Hi, Days. Hi, everyone, and thanks for inviting me.
Yeah,
I'm feeling great. Thanks.
yeah, it's fantastic to finally chat because we've known each other for I feel like quite a while now. But yeah, this is just fantastic. And you're not actually living in France right now. You're doing some traveling, or you're just elsewhere at the moment. Is that
Yes,
correct?
I live in Taiwan since 5 years now.
Oh
So
wow.
yeah, it's been a while. Yeah.
Wow, nice. Yeah, that's awesome. So I suppose we will just jump right into the questions because I'm very eager to hear how you got started with these games and all that kind of great stuff. So, what was your first exposure to the shmup games or the genre as a whole?
So I'm 37 years old now, and I've been playing video games since my whole life. And since when I was kid, I get a Mega Drive. But actually, I never got any shmup on it. So I discovered shmups quite recently, actually. It was like, even if I play a little bit to like R-Type and a bit Thunder Force, but yeah, I wasn't very interesting. And yeah, it was very difficult for me. So like 5 years ago, when I started living in Taiwan, I was like, yeah, a bit boring, and I try some shmup on a Raspberry Pi. Actually, some Mega Drive game, and I found out on Musha Alest. And
Nice.
when I launched this game, I was like, wow, this is amazing. The music, the rhythm, the pace. Wow, I really love this game. And yeah, super speed and everything. I was very shocked, like, this can be on a Mega Drive. So that started with Musha Alest. And yeah, I played this game like every day for a few weeks. I was really into it, even if yeah, I was very bad. I think I didn't pass the fourth stage or something, and the game is not very difficult. So yeah, after that I start to play other shmup
Yeah.
still on my Raspberry Pi, and I discovered Danmaku and Cave, and I was really into ESP Garuda 2, and then I went to Japan and buy a Xbox 360 with some shmup, and I was yeah really attracted with Mushi Hime Sama Futari. Yeah, that's really click on me for the Danmaku part
Nice.
because yeah, this game I feel like even if I also had the Ketsui and really like it, but it was too difficult for me. And when I play to Futari, I feel I progress every time I do a new game. I feel I progress a little bit by little bit. So I really like this feeling. And yeah, since then. I start with yeah, for like 2 or 3 years. I really into only Danmaku, and then I discover all the shmup, starting by Toaplan, and then yeah, now I play everything.
Yeah, amazing. So, like when you played Mushi Lest and you just instantly loved that game, was there something specifically like was it just like refreshing jumping into something that looked a certain way, or was part of it like maybe the mechanics of the game?
Mm. Uh, yeah, first was the music, because yeah, the music is really amazing for this game. I was like, wow, I want to listen that.
Yeah.
So I play, and I also really like the mechanic. Like on compiled game, usually the game are not too difficult,
Hmm.
and yeah, I can progress into the game, and you have like some shield around you to protect you, and it make me motivated to continue to playing and go further and further. And also, I really like the graphic of the game, and was yeah a very unique atmosphere with like a new and old Japanese city stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really everything click on me.
Yeah, that's incredible to hear. So, when you were in that like beginner state, what was the biggest thing that kind of gave you the most trouble to figure out or start getting used to?
Mm, maybe the hitbox in like different games.
Sure.
Yeah, was. all the time I was not sure like is this will eat me or not,
Mm-hmm.
and also because I was too focused on my ship, I think, and actually you almost never look at your ship directly except if the pattern is very dense and the bullets are quite slow. Otherwise, you need to look ahead of your ship to yeah to better approaching the bullet.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, for this, yeah, I was yeah, it was quite difficult for me at first.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd imagine very quickly you kind of like just started to adjust. And like as you played more and more of these games, like just jumping into everything and checking things out,
Mhm.
was there a specific type of mechanic or style of game that you kind of just liked more than others?
I like when there is some interesting mechanic. Like for example, I really like in ESP Galuda when you can slow down the time,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have some bar, and then after that the time go faster. And yeah, I really like this kind of mechanic, for example. But it's not like usually it's like specific mechanic like that, or like on the last Senjin Alest, the fact you can change the chip. You have all four chips to yeah you can have all four chips is very good.
Mm-hmm.
And you can switch between them. I like this kind of mechanic,
Yeah,
and of
super
course
cool.
bomb. Yeah.
And with where things stand now, would you say you could narrow things down to a favorite shmup, or let's say you have a favorite two or three games that just stand
Mm.
out as like the best of the best?
It's very difficult for me to answer this question
Yeah,
because
yeah.
yeah, I feel I still have a lot of maps to discover. But yeah, I really like Ketsui, even if it's difficult. But it's yeah, for me it's really like cave style, very yeah, amazing. Everything is amazing on this game. It's simple, but everything is well done.
Hmm.
I like the scoring mechanic. Like you need to be very aggressive and yeah, and also really like Dodonpachi, the first one. Yeah, because it's really like the definition of Danmaku, and the game always yeah always hit on you, and it's very aggressive. You you just need to yeah you have like zero how to say yeah it's just aggressive on you all the time.
Yeah, like
You have like zero break or anything.
yeah, I hear that. Just no rest at all. Like when you start the
Yeah,
game and
yeah,
you're buckled in for a nonstop ride. Uh,
yeah, yeah. It's very amazing.
Yeah, nice. So, one thing I'm curious about is as you got deeper and deeper into shmups, did you notice your taste in gaming shift? Like, let's say you used to play RPGs or something and you don't now. Like, how
Mm,
did that look in relation to like other games as you kind of got
mm,
into things? And where do things stand now?
yeah, that's a good question. Actually, yes. Now I play less and less new games and are more into shmup and arcade game because I find like nowadays a game are like just big open world and it's just like you watch a movie with a QTE and yeah that's it. It's quite boring.
Hmm.
Except of course there is still a few good games, but yeah since that I find them too easy and a bit boring. And I really like the feeling of arcade game. Like you just start the game and paf, you start to play. You know, you just don't have like a 2 hours tutorial or everything,
Yeah.
anything like that. Yeah. So yeah, nowadays, yeah, I really like. I play mostly like arcade type games, like beat them up, or yeah, shmup, and yeah, this kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
not RPG are too long now for me.
Yeah. No, that's fair. I still play a variety of things, but it's really spaced out. And if I know I'm going to be starting, let's say an RPG, it's something that just gets very little attention. Like sure, I might play a bit each day if time even allows, but it's not like in the past where I would start an RPG and then a week later you're done this like 40-hour game or anything
Yeah.
because yeah, shmups are just they're so good and arcade games of course like they're just so good and I just love how much they demand of me. And I just love the feeling of the progression as you see what trips you up and what you need to overcome to get to that next part of the game or whatever, or just all the little bits and pieces that fit into place when you start clicking with how to do things. It's just a really rewarding experience for me. So over the years, I've just played more and more of that kind of stuff and less of the other things. Do you have a specific controller type
Oh,
that
I
you?
play
Yeah.
mostly on my PS4 controller. I
Okay.
really love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, every time I'm on PC on Steam or on PS4 and PS5. But yeah, compared to PS5, I still prefer the D-pad of the PS4.
Mm-hmm.
So when I can, I play on my PS4 pad. But
Yeah.
just
Nice.
on Switch, I have a Pro controller, but yeah, not so great.
Yeah.
So usually I'll avoid to play on Switch, except if I have no choice.
Yeah. No, that's fair. The only thing I have is Switch, so it's like if I'm playing, I'll be using an arcade stick or a pro controller with the
Mm,
D-pad, just more or less for convenience. But yeah, the Switch
yeah.
has just tons of games. And when I got back into gaming, because for those who don't know, I know I've talked about this in the past. Like I went from PlayStation 2 all the way to Switch. I never touched anything else in between. I stopped gaming for almost 20 years, which was just like wild. So when I got into Switch again, I was like, okay, I'm not spending on other systems. This is like the only thing I'm going to put my money into. So that's kind of why like my channel only ever has
Yeah,
Switch games.
yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
But I also like to play on arcade stick, but yeah, I only have one in France. So
Hmm. That's fair. So do you have a list of just like let's say one or two even things you're proud of that you've achieved in games or whatever else? It doesn't have to be let's say a really hard 1cc, but just something that you figured out on your own or you beat a game or like you did something a certain way and pulled off something amazing that you are really proud of. Do you have anything that comes to mind for that question?
first, the games I clear are not very difficult, but I was really proud on Batsugun on the arcade one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it took me quite a lot of time. Yeah, and that's my first tower plane game I clear. So, and I'm pretty big fan of tower plane too. So I was very very proud of it.
Yeah, nice.
And yeah, I really love this game. And yeah, I play every day
Yeah.
until I got the clear for like it's. I think I put like 3 weeks or something.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's quite a lot on a shmup.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was very proud, and yeah, this game, yeah, quite difficult for me
Yeah.
because it's still it's not like on full Danmaku, and the arcade one, not the special version, but the arcade one, the hitbox is quite big, and the bullets are still quite fast sometimes.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah, for me it was quite difficult.
Yeah.
So I was really proud about this one.
Yeah, that is an incredible game. I when I beat that, that was like not too long ago. But we had like the newborn, and that kind of really limited my time. So much so that some weeks I would only play 25 minutes for the whole week. And like at times it felt like, man, I'm not getting anywhere with this game because of how little I'm able to set aside to play this game. But I stuck with it and eventually just was able to play a little more here and there. And then, yeah, pulling that off was great. But it's such a well done game, like just the visuals and everything. And yeah, the music and just the flow of
Yeah.
each stage. Like it's just phenomenal. And that was also my first Total Plan game. So yeah, I love that one. It's so fantastic.
Yeah, and what they did after with the special version is great too. Is easier, and they had a smaller hitbox and a shield, so it's a really good shmup for beginners. I think especially the special version
Hmm.
because it is still a bit difficult, but yeah, you can manage it because I don't like the easy mode they put sometimes. I think it's too easy and you
Hmm.
don't learn anything by playing that. You just clear it and yeah, that's it. Even for beginner, I don't think it's good. But recently, like with a Batsugan special version, is really good, or the Gunvein Mild is also very good.
Mm-hmm.
And the Crimson Clover too, the Novice. I don't remember the name. I don't remember if it's Novice mod or something,
Yeah, it's
but it's
Novice.
really great also.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like the ones they put in M2, like the ESP Red, super easy mode, and this kind of stuff. Yeah, it's too easy. I don't like.
Yeah, I think the first time I did, I sampled Super Easy on Esperade. Like I was more or less experienced enough to be playing other modes, which I did before that. I didn't go to Super Easy mode until way later. But when I did it, I did like a no miss run, I think on my first
Mm.
thing. So that kind of just shows how simple it can be. Like if you have a little bit of experience, like it's gonna be something you can just breeze through without issue. There's nothing really to catch you off guard. But yeah.
Yeah, I think the problem is it didn't teach you how to play the real game. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you clear it, but you didn't learn anything, and then you go to arcade one and you just get destroyed.
Yeah.
But like for Batsugan, the special version, yeah, you still learn the game. Same with Gunvein or Crimson Clover. You know, it's still useful for you and you progress. So it's really good.
Yeah. So we talked about just briefly like what you struggled with when you were just starting with these games. What would you say is
Mm-hmm.
the main thing that you have a problem with where your skills and experience are today?
I think for the old school one, yeah, I struggle with the two memo heavy shmup, like air type and this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I try, yeah, you need to memorize everything. So yeah, it's very difficult for me. This kind of old school shmup with like very big hitbox, and you need to know like the whole game. Yeah, that's very hard for me.
Yeah, I know a lot of people have like that type of game or experience just rubs them a certain way, and I think part of it is like they're just extremely demanding, and because you just have to have everything perfect pretty much every step of the way, it can feel really tough when you do fumble like one little detail halfway through the game or whatever, and then because of that, there's just this big consequence you're now dealing with. Sometimes, like, you can't recover, or it's just going to be like a ridiculously close to impossible thing to pull off now that you've lost like all your power ups or like whatever the situation may be. Like, if we're talking old school games. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
you
like,
need to do it in one life.
yeah, yeah.
Otherwise, you cannot recover.
Yeah.
Is a checkpoint. Yeah.
And do you have a favorite mechanic these days?
Yeah, it's really depend on shmup actually. I know the mechanics I don't like.
Okay.
Like
What are some of those?
like a shop. I really don't like when there is shop in games
Mm-hmm.
because yeah, it's just slow down the game and make a break in the middle. Yeah, I really don't like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like on area 88 or the last one, I think you cover one horizontal shmup with a shop recently. I buy it too. I don't remember the name.
Trouble Witches?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
that one has
Trouble
a shop,
Witches.
yeah.
I saw your video and oh god, they have a shop. I was a bit disappointing. So yeah, yeah. Yeah, for me, yeah, shop. Yeah, I don't like shop.
Yeah, no, that's
And
fair.
same with like, I like when you are in the max power directly. So I don't like power up and this kind of stuff. I
Mm-hmm.
think, yeah, nowadays most shmup doesn't have power up. I mean, at least a good one. But yeah, I don't like when you have to take like 10 power up to be full powers and this kind of stuff. And then if you lose, it's very difficult to recover.
Mm-hmm.
But those are mostly for the old school shmup.
Yeah, definitely. I couldn't even tell you the last time I played like a modern game or close to modern game that had like a power up system. But yeah.
So yeah, when it's no modern game with a power up, I say maybe this game is not so good. Yeah.
And do you have any current goals like games you know you're soon going to be starting and you want to clear them, or something specific in a game you've already cleared that you want to go back and do? What are you kind of doing these days, or even goals for your channel? Because I know
Mm,
that's growing bigger and bigger. What's kind of on your horizon?
mm. First, I'm kind of a clearer type of gamers. Like I like to do 1cc, and I'm not really into scoring. Even if I score sometimes, and on some games you have to score a little bit to get some extents.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, usually I don't pass like many months on one games because I think I want to discover first like a lot of different games because I don't play shmup since many years. So I want to get the more experience I can. And then there is some specific game I say, okay, this one I clear it, like ESP Galuda. I clear it, and I think, wow, I really like the scoring system, and the bullet goes slower, faster, and you get more points. It's very interesting. So, for example, this one, I plan to go back on it later. But yeah, for now, I just mostly clear the game. I think it's a good balance between like knowing the game without play it for like 6 months or 1 year.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, and currently I play Patchy, and yeah, I really wish I can clear the first loop. So yeah, that's my that's my goal, and for my channel, yeah, I don't know, just continue to grow and hoping some. Yeah, I mean, I opened my channel for French people. I mean, it's in French. So mostly, my idea was to make shmup more accessible to more people
Mm-hmm.
because people think like they are too difficult or anything, but it exists a lot of shmup, not too difficult, and yeah, I think everyone can play shmup and can have fun with them. So
Definitely.
I try to explain to like how it's working and blah blah blah. Because also there is not a lot of resources, especially in French or in the game directly. You just have like, for example, you launch a cave game and you have like black label, blah blah blah, orange C, orange B, and
Yeah.
you are just lost in too many stuff. So I try to explain like every mode and scoring, and yeah, the most simple I can. And it's also because I myself searched those information. I was like, oh, there's not a lot of channels speak about that, so maybe I can try to make one and explain what I learned to others. So it can be cool.
Yeah.
So that's how I create the channel.
Yeah, nice. It's been amazing just seeing your channel grow because I think when I started checking out your channel or stumbled upon it, it was, I'm not sure, maybe it was like like around 100 subscribers or something like that. So it's really cool seeing more and
Mm.
more people gaining interest and finding value and like help that they need with having like a better understanding of these games because I feel the same way. Like there is a lot going on in these games, and when you jump in for the first time it can feel overwhelming, even though like someone with more experience might think like, okay, well, it's actually really simple. You just need to not try tackling everything all at once. Like just take little bits and pieces here and start experimenting a little bit and playing. But like, of course, as a beginner, it's going to just be like, it's going to feel like insanity most of the time.
Yeah, or you don't know some mechanics or stuff, or yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so my last question for the like getting to know you part of this chat is like, what advice would you give to those jumping in for the first time?
Just pick a game you really like, because yeah, you can watch some video like what's the best map to begin with. Even me, I did this kind of video because it's quite interesting. But yeah, the most important thing is like if the game, you really like the game, just play it, and yeah, you will progress. Even if at first you will see that like, whoa, it's impossible to clear. Yeah, trust me, if you just training a bit every day or every few days, yeah, you will have some progress, and yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah. And one thing I have definitely noticed just by watching others and even like experience with my own playtime and stuff like that is like when you really really love a game, you will just automatically feel drawn to putting more and more time in and just doing whatever it takes. Whereas like let's say someone's kind of like deep down they know they're forcing themselves to play a game maybe because someone said like, "Oh, this is the best game, like check it out." And they're just doing it because like someone told them, they might not actually feel like they're connecting with the game. And so the journey might feel way harder or not so much fun or that sort of thing. But when you love it and you're doing it for your own reasons, that's when like even beginners will just skyrocket. And it's really really cool to see that kind of pan out.
Yes, exactly. And you also can ask some advice on Discord or some forums on
Mm-hmm.
or YouTube channel or anything. Yeah.
Yeah,
And for example, I know one of my friend, Prickly Hangler, he just started shmup with Sukyu Gurentai. I don't know if you know this one, and
I'm not sure.
in Saturn, Rising shmup, very very difficult. And I think it was his first clear, and this game is very very brutal.
Yeah.
But he really love it, and yeah, he did it. He passed many hours, but yeah, he did it, and it was his first clear.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Wow.
trust me, it's a very very difficult one.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's fantastic stuff. So let's get right into the topic that we're going to touch on a little bit, which is we've both come across people who, or just the idea rather, that bullet hell has ruined shmups. And when that came up in our chat, I was really inspired to just explore that a little bit. So would you say, like, how do you feel about that sort of thing when you hear that? But like, what does that mean to you, or what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, first I think it's obviously totally wrong
Mm-hmm.
because yeah, I think most of the people who say that they don't really play like Danmaku or Bullet Hell. They only play old games, old school games. But I think even nowadays, since few years, there is like many new shmup fans, and in those there is also old school one. So I think yeah, it's just two different type of shmups. But I don't think Danmaku kills the old school one
Mm-hmm.
for me.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Like to me, when I hear that, it doesn't really make any sort of sense. I don't see how
Yeah.
it connects at all because, like you say, it's two very different experiences, and the two can more or less live in harmony. Like the two can exist at the same time without really affecting each other. And with developers who are putting games out, like we're still seeing people creating traditional style, and other times
Yeah.
people are making bullet hell games. So it's like I don't really see how it ruins anything because if you want that traditional experience, you can go and play it anytime you want. And if you want bullet hell, that's what you can play too. Like it's, yeah. So what I did is I looked into a few of the reasons like why people like I did a bit of digging on just like different posts and things like that to see what I could find out. And some of the people were saying like they feel bullet hell ruins shmups because like it went in this really different direction compared to what they were used to, and they feel like bullet hell is more demanding. You have to like memorize all these different things, and I think this kind of like boils down to maybe in some ways misunderstanding what bullet hell is doing when you're playing the game, or like because like when I read over some of the people's responses and things like that, like some people would say like, oh, they don't understand the tiny hitbox. They feel like they suddenly need to do all this guesswork, or that there are too many bullets coming at them. And I think like it's great to just take a bit of an opportunity to clear some of that kind of stuff up by just saying like, well, in a bullet hell, even if the whole screen is full of bullets, there are probably only a small handful that are actually targeting you at any given time, and the rest is kind of there just to distract you or just to kind of have you thinking about your surroundings and like where you need to be, like how you need to move through things as they shift on the screen and come at you or move around, whatever else. So what are your thoughts on that? Like, have you ever come across or come up with rather just like points for kind of bringing more light to that situation to kind of clear up some of that misunderstanding.
Yes, yes, I think you're right. Like there is too many bullet. Yeah, it's very funny because as you said, like most of the bullet are not meant to reach you. It's also for the beauty of the pattern. Like
Yeah,
for
true.
example, I think this kind of like in Toho, it's a very beautiful pattern, like match with the music. But most of the bullet, like 95% of the bullet, are not aimed to hit you. It's just for the beauty of the pattern, and yeah, I think it's very beautiful also.
Yeah.
But yeah, so and the bullet are slower most of the time than in old school games. So for me, it's bullet hell. It's easier than old school games for that because you can see the bullets more ahead and you have time to to dodge them compared to old school games. They arrive like at a light of speed in like
Yeah.
2 microseconds, like in Raiden, and bam, you're just dead. There is just 3 bullets, but you cannot avoid them, and your ship is very slow compared to the bullet speed. So that's also why I think like old school shmup require way more memorization than Maku
Hmm.
because those you cannot you cannot dodge the bullet like that. You need to know what will happen so you can dodge them. So
Yeah,
yeah, I
absolutely.
think that's also why I more click first with Danmaku because it's like more
Hmm.
easier for me, and I can see I can see the bullet and I can have time to see the pattern and like I will dodge them. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I hear that. And it's great. Like, it's going to be different for everyone, of course, but in a lot of ways, I feel that Danmaku style games they can serve as a great way into shmups in general. Like, some people might think, like, okay, well, if I have to start with traditional styles, I'm not going to because, like, they're just crazy. But when you get into bullet hell, like you say, like slower bullet speeds, it gives you all sorts of time to kind of come up with a plan or just see what you can work with depending on what mechanics and resources you have. So it kind of starts getting you in the habit of thinking on the spot and making decisions here and there, whatever you need to do. And from there, you're pretty much always going to eventually develop an interest in the more traditional style. Like, not always, of course, but I feel like there's a much higher chance that people will take an interest in the classics when they have that gateway experience through bullet hell games. Whereas if they never did that, they might never bother playing these games, period. So I think that's pretty cool. Like, they can help people get into the genre.
Yes, and it feels so satisfying when you dodge some very dense pattern,
Hmm.
and it's actually not that hard, but you feel very good. And also because of your tiny hitbox, it's also easier because the traditional one usually your hitbox is very very huge, and I feel feel a bit less satisfying when you dodge bullet on old school
Hmm.
than on Danmaku. You feel less powerful.
And
Yeah,
yeah, go ahead.
just like me, I mostly start with bullet hell, and then after that, I went to more traditional shmup. But yeah, if I didn't start with bullet hell, I don't think I will directly jump into a old school one because most of them are too brutal for me.
Hmm.
Yeah, now it's better because I have a bit more experience. But yeah, remember I tried R-Type and was like, what the heck?
Yeah.
This stuff is too difficult. I just get crushed on first level.
Yeah.
So I think, okay, that's not for me.
Yeah, it's like you need like the art type like textbook, or like just the like
Yeah.
like do this tiny movement and then do this tiny like adjustment here. Like, it's, yeah, I remember playing I think there's some kind of like art type DX for Game Boy Color or Game Boy Advance, I don't recall. I think it's Game Boy Color, and that comes with a few of the games or something. And I remember one Christmas when I got that, just going through the game as far as I could, and just some of it you're stuck on like the same spot for who knows how long before you get like the maneuvering correct, or just the angles that you need to work your way through, like since there's a lot of ceiling stuff and like tunnels you got to go through and all that crazy stuff with enemies coming all over the place. Like it's just wild stuff. So I've never really gotten too into R-Type, to be honest.
Yeah.
But
And you also need to manage your module, and if you die once, you have to do everything back
yeah.
because you cannot recover most of the time in R-Type.
Yeah. So another point that came up when people were saying like why they feel bullet hell is like a certain way, like why they're not into it, they express that they feel these games highly restrict your movement and that you're always forced into like these cramped, tiny spaces. What are your thoughts on that one?
I think it's wrong. First, it depends on games, but for me in Bullet Hell, you have way more space to maneuver. Like in most of the shmup of the Bullet Hell, you can have like many ways to pass one pattern. And in old school one, usually you just have like one way to pass. Like if we like in R-Type, for example, those are very memo heavy, and even like the usually on the horizontal map, you have the background that you don't need to touch, and on old school one, there is a lot of levels when you cannot really move a lot into the stage because of that too. Because if you touch the wall or anything, you just die.
Yeah.
So I think there is like more way. I mean, it depends on games, of course, but there is more way to pass a pattern in Danmaku than in traditional shmup for me.
Yeah, I would agree that like I think it really does depend on the game. There will be exceptions, of course, but for the most part, I think that when someone feels that like a game is just always forcing them into like a small pocket and they can't move or do anything like that, I feel they are probably missing the fact that like maybe they could be luring bullets elsewhere, or just doing a better job at positioning themselves a certain way so that less bullets are always just coming at them. Because there are plenty of times where like my first time playing a level or whatever, I'll just, let's say, like be in the middle or whatever before I've learned the stage, or if I like in my earlier years playing shmups, for instance, like you don't really understand that you need to be the one choosing where the bullets are going to be like fired at. And so like you do have a lot of power at your disposal to decide how much space you have available, or where things are going, and how much space you leave on the other side of the screen, or that kind of stuff. Like just making use of how things go, more or less. And it's not going to be like that in every game, of course, but I think for the most part, you do have a lot of potential to kind of create the breathing room that you do need.
Yeah, exactly. And usually sometimes you are trapped on a corner or something. It's because you didn't manage well the pattern. But even in this case, in Dalmakuba, you can still bomb, so it's still fine.
Yeah.
Until because in old school one, you trap, and most of the game doesn't have bombs, so you just die.
Yeah.
But here you still have the last solution is bombing. So it's still okay even if you get trapped sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's something I like about modern, well, not even modern, but like I think some of the really, really old games, they didn't have much happening in terms of like mechanics or what they would give the player to work with. Whereas a lot of recent or semi-recent games, like there's always a lot of flexibility. Even if you like let's say you don't want to use a bomb, it's like you might have a hyper ready that you can fire off, or you might have some other effect or ability that you can kind of work with. So there's a lot of wiggle room, so to speak, to kind of just deal with different situations as they show up. If you fumble something because you didn't memorize, let's say like a boss pattern or whatever the case is, it's not the end of the world. There's usually still one or two other things you can do, or some kind of backup plan that you can put into place right away and come out just fine.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that more or less wraps up. Like, I feel we've covered that well enough. Like, I don't really have too much more there. So is there anything else you would want to jump into, or is that a great place for us to leave off for now?
Not especially. Just there is also some very old school games that I'm still very amazed when I play, like Gradius. The first two Gradius, they are like older than me, and they still play perfectly. Like the hitbox is not even too big, and they are still very funny. So yeah, not all old school game are difficult. I mean, even if Gradius is difficult, but yeah, still manageable, and you don't need to learn everything.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah,
some of old games are also good. Yeah.
yeah, it's great to hear you mention that, because like I've known about the games for a long time, but I've never really, and I think I've probably played the first one, but I've never really clicked with them yet. It's not like I've even put in serious time or given the games like an actual chance. I kind of just sampled it once, maybe for the channel or something, I don't recall. But it's great to hear that, because that might be part of what eventually has me giving those like a more serious look at some point.
Yeah, and they are available on Arcade Archives. So
Yeah.
same with the Salamander. Yeah, it's very very good game and not too frustrating.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, yeah, I suppose if that's everything from you, that's also everything from me. So I really want to thank you for setting aside some time today to do this chat with me. I really appreciate that, and it's just been awesome hearing a little bit about how you got started and all that kind of stuff. That's fantastic too. So yeah, thank you so much for being here, Vinu. I really appreciate it. I will be sure to have your channel in the description and all that, so that people can definitely go and check out your stuff, your videos. I always enjoy going over your like 1cc guides, even though I don't understand more than just bits and pieces of French. It's just great seeing you do that kind of stuff and everything else that you're doing on the channel. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much too, Days. I'm really glad I can appear in your channel. It's very an honor for me, because I really like what you do. So
Well,
I'm
thank
very
you.
honored.
Yeah, thanks
Thank you
so
very
much.
much.
Yeah, no worries. All right. Well, everyone who has been listening, I really appreciate you swinging by. Feel free to, share your comments, your thoughts down below, whatever you want to do. And have a stellar day, and we will see you all next time.
Thanks, guys. See ya.